Hey bookworms, and welcome to another What I Read This Month vlog. For those of you who are new here, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that you found me, and for those of you who are regular watchers, thanks for being here again today. My name's Angie. I'm your very casual librarian. I am a mum of two. I'm studying for my master's in information studies, and I also work part-time in the public library system in Melbourne, Australia. So I read a total of 6 books in April this month. Right, without further ado, grab something cozy, get comfortable, and let's talk books. So the first book that I read in April was The Department of Rare Books and Special Collections by Jurczyk. Sorry if I've butchered that. And I'm actually really surprised because I looked on Goodreads and the reviews for this aren't that great, which I was surprised. I really loved this. This was really good, in my opinion. So this book is about Liesl, who takes over leadership of a university library when her boss suddenly is struck down by a stroke. When she's acting in her new role, she discovers that one of the library's rare and very, very valuable books has gone missing, and she wants to report it to the police, but the university is very reluctant because of the bad press that will bring to the library and to the university, and they want to keep their donors happy. But then another staff member at the library goes missing, and Liesl starts to wonder whether the two things aren't connected. I really enjoyed this. It was a mystery story first and foremost, but it's not, there's no blood and guts and gore. So if you like kind of more of a mystery than a thriller, I think you'd really like this. I really liked how it explored the politics around libraries and rare collections, and also the issues facing women in leadership positions, and especially mothers in leadership positions, and the extra pressures that they have, and the judgment and the criticism. And I thought that was really thought-provoking. I gave this one 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure why it's so rated so lowly on Goodreads, in all honesty, because I really enjoyed this. The next book that I read in April was The Woman in the Library. You'll see that there's a bit of a theme to some of these books that I read in April. Isn't it funny how sometimes that happens, how you read to a theme? I read The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentill. This book opens in the reading room of the Boston Library, where 4 strangers are using the reading room, but they're united by the mystery of hearing a woman's blood-curdling scream while they're there. And while they decide to investigate the mystery of the murdered woman, they also discover that they're all suspects in the murder as well. This book uses a book within a book technique, as our main character is, her name is Hannah. She's a writer, so she's using her time in the library and the murder and the mystery and the 3 other characters there with her as character inspiration for her novel. And she's also sharing these ideas with a friend and a publisher as well. So while we're investigating the real mystery that's happened in the library, we're also seeing Hannah's writing of a mystery that's inspired by the real action that's happening around her. And that's really, really interesting. It's a really different way to, as a reader, to investigate a mystery in a book, and I thought it was really cool. My only complaint with this is it's a bit slow. It's character driven, I would say, more than plot driven, and I don't mind either of those, or a combination. Usually that's fine, but this one's more character driven, and so it's a bit slow for a mystery because the plot takes a while to unfold, and that's my only real bugbear with this one. I gave it 3 out of 5. I still really enjoyed it. So the next book that I read in April was Yellowface by Rebecca F. Kuang. I had been waiting to read this for ages, actually. It had been on my TBR for quite a while. It's very popular on social media at the moment. And that can be sometimes a good or a bad thing. I don't always trust that as a recommendation for books, but this was well worth it a read. It was really, really good. So the book is about June, who's a writer, and her friend Athena, who is also a writer, but much more successful and much more published than June is, and much more celebrated as a writer. And one night when June and Athena are hanging out at Athena's apartment, Athena tragically, freakily has an accident and passes away while she and June are in the apartment. And through the trauma of this horrible accident, June unthinkingly, as a reaction, grabs Athena's unfinished manuscript off her desk and takes it with her when she leaves the apartment. June reads the manuscript and it's brilliant. So she decides to basically put her name on this manuscript and publish it. She does a lot of editing, but it is actually Athena's work, and she puts her name to it and publishes it. But the only problem is that the manuscript is about Chinese history, and Athena was Chinese and June isn't. So it's a really, really interesting look at the racial dynamic in the literary industry, and this concept of who's allowed to tell a story and who's the best person to tell a story, and how people get recognized based on their race. It's really, really well written. It's a work of fiction, but there's so many good issues explored in here. I really enjoyed it. It is a thriller, and it kind of, if this gives you an indication, it's kind of a mixture of A Picture of Dorian Gray and The Telltale Heart, if you can imagine that, because as the success of this manuscript and this published work gets bigger and bigger, June gets more and more guilty, and the feelings of guilt start to really eat away at her, and she's constantly paranoid about being found out that this isn't actually all her work. I really loved it. It's so good. I've given it to my husband to read as well. I think he'll really enjoy it. 5 out of 5, well worth waiting for. I really loved it. Okay, so after Yellowface, I listened to an audiobook, and it was The Man Who Died Twice. It's the second book in the Thursday Murder Club series by Richard Osman, and I love the first one and I love the second one. So this is a really light-hearted mystery read. It's set in a retirement village around 4 characters who meet every week on a Thursday to discuss unsolved murder mysteries. And inevitably, because they're so curious and involved in their community, they get involved in all these other mysteries that happen in their real world as well, in real life, and they get involved with the police and local investigations. And I love it so much. I love the 4 main characters so much. You just fall in love with them because they're so relatable and so clever. The dialogue is really, really clever, and it's really funny. And in the first 2 books at least, and I'm sure the third will be the same. I can't wait to read that as well. I think it's called The Bullet That Missed. Yeah, I gave this 4 out of 5, and it's just a light-hearted, funny mystery read. Okay, following The Woman in the Library, I decided to pick up another Sulari Gentill book. It was called A Few Right-Thinking Men. I actually listened to it on audiobook, and it's #1 in the Roland Sinclair mysteries. However, I only got about halfway through it and I decided to part ways with it. It was very involved with politics, particularly politics in Australia in the 1930s, which I would normally find fascinating, except I just wasn't in the headspace for that at the moment. So I might pick this one up later, but I was struggling to keep all the dates and names in my head. And that might be because I'm in the thick of my study semester. So I'm a bit distracted and I'm busy. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. At this time, I couldn't keep up with it. So I DNF'd this one. I might go back to it later. We'll see how we go. And the last book that I read in April this year was Bunny by Mona Awad. And oh my goodness, guys, do not let this cover fool you. This is one freaky deaky dreamscape gothic weirdness of a book. I'm going to find this really, really hard to describe, honestly, this book. I had moments reading this where I was like looking between my fingers in horror, highlighting amazing sentences and then just gasping and going, oh no, oh no, like all at the same time. It's just the description on the front that the Daily Mail has put on there is hilarious, hallucinogenic freakery. And I would totally agree with that. That's exactly what this book is. It is like an acid trip. It's so weird. So Bunny is about an exclusive university called Warren, where they have an experimental writing program that's really famous and exclusive and hard to get into because they really push their writers to be creative and think outside the box and, you know, step outside the boundaries of writing and be experimental. And it really pushes these people, these kids, past their creativity and often to the edges of their sanity as well to get good writing out of them. And the book really blurs the lines between what's creative and what's just nuts. Like, I absolutely loved it. Like, because often there is a fine line between someone who's really creative and eccentric and someone who's just insane. We meet Samantha, who's a scholarship student at the university taking this writing course, and she is trying to sort of prove herself that she's worth this spot that she's taking up, but she becomes drawn to this clique of girls. They're all rich and they're all beautiful and they call themselves bunnies. And this book is so trippy. Like, there are so many references and allusions to fairy tales and how things aren't ever just black or white. Like, things that are white and beautiful and cute and fluffy aren't necessarily good, and things that are black and odd and ugly aren't necessarily evil. Or what happens when these fairy tale tropes are really explored and looked into, and nothing is ever black and white like that in real life. Nothing is ever as it seems. And oh my gosh, I highlighted so many passages in this book. Look, read with care. It's pretty freaky, and there are parts that are pretty gruesome and confronting, but if you can stomach that, this is amazing. And I gave it 4 out of 5. I gave it 4 out of 5, but purely for the factor, because yeah, trigger warning. Don't read this while you're eating. So that's the 6 books that I read in April. I hope you've read some good things this month too. I had a bit of a theme of writing and creativity and students. I don't really know how that happened. But you know how sometimes that just happens. You accidentally read on a theme. So thanks for being here today. I really appreciated your company. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Check if you're subscribed to my channel, Bookworms, because I've noticed that in my when I look at my channel's analytics, quite a few people who watch my channel aren't subscribed. And I know that for a while, YouTube was unsubscribing people from channels if they thought your account may have been a bot. And quite a few people had noticed that their subscriptions fell from their channel because YouTube sort of automatically, the algorithm picked up these accounts and took the subscriptions off. So double check if you think you're subscribed to this channel. Go and check and hit that subscribe button and send all your bookworm friends this way. And don't forget, you can tip me as a creator. You can do that over at buymeacoffee.com/very.casual.librarian. I also post a whole bunch of extra content there. It's like a mini blog. I kind of post articles that I see that I love, extra bits and pieces, and members often get extras as well. I'll often give them early access to these videos. Thanks so much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed today's vlog. Don't forget to do something really nice for yourself and be extra kind to yourself at the moment, bookworms. A lot of people are going through some hard times at the moment, and you know, there's some ugly things going on in the world, so make sure you're taking care of your mental health, resting and taking time for yourself when you need to. Next week, I'm planning a bit of a reading book academia adventure, so stay tuned for that one. I'll catch you in the next vlog.